Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on Political Talk with Charlotte today. I am so happy to be here with you. Happy Thursday to everybody. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is a great day. It's going to be a great show. I want to thank you for joining Political Talk with Charlotte. Our show airs every Thursday, which is today at noon. I am your host, Charlotte Bergman, and we have as our special guest today, Christian KIRK. That's Christian with a C, Christian KIRK. And she is one of our own, and she's going to bring a different perspective about what's going on around the community. And I'm excited. I'm just honored to have her as my guest. So sit back, go get your popcorn, get your Kool-Aid, and join us. We will be right back to get this show started. And we are back, and I'm bringing in our guest. Oh, isn't she pretty? Look at that background. Tell me about that background, that lettuce and the vegetation.
Right now I'm doing some work in agriculture, but I'm learning as I go. But I'm more into like houseplants, horticultural things. That's what I've learned over the years. My mother was a lover of plants, so I continue that. I love them. I love making them thrive, and I love seeing things thrive in general. I guess that's why I find myself in the positions I do so often.
I don't consider myself having a green thumb, but I'll tell you what, when I moved to where I am now, I had a plant that was dying. And my son said, let's throw that away. And I said, no, I want to save it. I had no idea that now I have it and it's taken over the house. It's grown.
I can see the parallels between that and like how we're so committed to Memphis. It's kind of the same thing. We have this thing for bringing things back.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so awesome. Thank you for saying that. Are you still with us? Your screen is frozen. Okay, good. So everybody, I want to play Christian KIRK's demo so you can get a better idea of who she is. She is a dynamic person. So give me a second. Let me pull this up because I was really shocked. I mean, I sat down and had dinner with her. I had no idea that she had the experience and background that she does. So anyway, okay, let's bring this up. And let's find out a little bit more about Christian.
The National Guard's 298th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion is expected to be home in January. But the events to honor the slain civil rights leader begin today. CBS's Joel Brown has the latest from Washington. An Alabama truck driver remains hospitalized this morning after his 18-wheeler overturned in Columbus. Crews renovating the old portions of OCH Regional Medical Center had an unexpected run-in with bats. Construction workers apparently disturbed the area where the bats have chosen to hibernate for the winter. New nightclubs may have to wait a little longer to open in Okolona. Aldermen have extended a moratorium on any new adult clubs in the Chickasaw County town for 90 more days. The investigation into a Christmas Day shooting leads to the arrest of a 16-year-old. Officials in Marshall County would not say what the teen has been charged with, but said the suspect is being held in a juvenile detention facility. This time, it doesn't have to do with the budget or the debt, but with the date. The date President Obama gives his speech on the economy. The search for survivors and victims of a tragic shipwreck off the coast of Italy has been suspended due to fears that the 500,000 gallons of fuel on.
Okay, guys, you can see she has a lot of experience. Thank you for joining us, Christian. And that's spelled with a C. Now, when we met, because I'm going to go there, I asked you about your name because I love it. I have a grandson whose name is Christian, but he spells it with a K. Tell me about your experience with having the name Christian.
My mother she was just a beautiful human being. She loved God, loved country music, and
country music, huh?
She was a country music singer. Her name was Virginia Kirby. And when she left the industry to follow God, follow Christ, she decided that she would dedicate one of her children to Christ. And I think she did that through my name. All of my other siblings are named Sydney. My sister was the firstborn, so they named her Sydney first. So that was after my dad. So my brother is the fourth, and my I was the only one named Christian. And so I feel like there's been some pressure applied with that, and you know, so I try my best to live up to it. You know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I felt comfortable in your presence after learning your name and the history behind it. And I feel like we're going to do a lot to bring Memphis back. And I'm excited about it. Do you have any ideals that you would like to share?
Oh, there's so much. I just think there's so much talent here, to the point that Memphis is like the Walmart of talent. Of course, a lot of my interest is in the arts because both of my parents were musicians. My dad was with Stax. He was a band leader for Isaac Hayes and played with me.
Ooh,
My mother was in country music. They actually met at a Grammys meeting. So a lot of how we came up, a lot of the provisions that were made for us or lack thereof was due to what was made from music and the arts. So that's a really special place for me. But I think that people come to Memphis because they know they're going to hear like knockout, incredible talent, whether it is in jazz or blues and that kind of thing. And when they come here, but we don't have a system yet set up properly to ensure that this gold mine that we have here is provided appropriately for. So you have people who are world class talents often playing for pennies, and I think that that's something that we need to take a look at as a city. And I also think that it's something that's a result of us continuing to pursue this interest of maintaining Memphis as a low wage city. I'd like to see that change. I don't think there's any reason for it. We have universities here. We're turning out quality talent. I don't think there's any reason to continue to build Memphis to other businesses and companies as a city where you can get workers for cheap. We need to be training up our workers, so that's not the case anymore. So I think those two are closely connected, and that's one thing I'd really like to change. I'd like to see the income here to be able to sustain an arts community that thrives. And I think that brings in our tourism dollars. We need to see more of a framework around that instead of just with Elvis. And we need to really seize on these opportunities to capitalize on the jewels we have. We literally have a gold mine. Our musicians leave here, go to LA, go to New York, and they're with the top talent in the country, and that's repeatedly. So we need to be capitalizing on that here instead of us, bleeding out this incredible talent to other places.
I like that idea. I think Memphis is a gold mine within itself in a
Absolutely.
lot of different areas, not just in the arts, but even manufacturing will be coming back soon. We've got
And even with
facilities.
manufacturing, like I said, we do have quality employees that have educations, but they need experience. So we need to build in the infrastructure around that so that we are taking advantage of that. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And I believe that's going to happen. There are some things that are happening behind the scenes to, first of all, get us over a lot of people want to speak negatively about Memphis.
Yeah.
Memphis is my home. I love Memphis.
And there's so many good people here. Memphis is a beautiful place. When you sit down and you talk to people, it can be people across political lines, across racial lines. We have this kind of idea about what common decency is. And I do think this is something that's shared among people of a particular age and above, including me. But I'm not sure if we're doing a really good job of passing that on. I feel like Memphis is becoming a colder place than what I grew up with. And so the reasons that I love Memphis, I'm not sure if that's getting passed on to our younger generation. I really want to make that happen.
So tell us about your career, especially in the news. You were an anchor and you also was in the field. I don't know the terminology for that,
Yeah.
but explain
An
to
anchor,
us what.
Absolutely, an anchor and a reporter.
Okay.
I didn't do as much reporting though. I got to do more of that when I got into independent media. I had a show here in Memphis called The Agenda, and it was on 91.1 WUMR, so the Jazz Lover station. And we started digging into a lot of these topics. I've never been into partisan politics. I've always just been about what is best for the people. And I don't let myself be pigeonholed into any concepts, any constraints around that, because I think they're united. I think there are things that we can all agree on. We should be able to all agree on that are going to be good for us all moving forward. And those are the areas that I try to focus on. Those areas where different kinds of creep is happening in terms of this stripping of our morality, the stripping of our decency. And if we can address those issues, I think we can and come together on the things that we can come together on. I think we'll have a better outcome for all of us in the future. But those are the kinds of things we talked about on the agenda. And from things like what your children are actually encountering on social media. Interviewed one of the professors from uh, I think she was from UCLA, but she was talking about how when your child goes onto their smartphone, their device, their tablet, the things that they're encountering are completely different than what you encounter. And sometimes parents can be really shocked by the
I
messages.
know.
Yes, completely different. So that was one of those things. But there were many other issues, but these core value things, and that's where my passion is. That's where I want to continue to put my focus on bringing people together on the core issues, making sure that people are representing us that care about our core issues and who we are as a people. That's what's important to me. So any candidate I back, they're usually not going to be too far, and they're going to be at the core, at the center of the values that matter across the political lines.
Christian, you have a celebrity sending his hello, Shannon Bernard.
Hello, Mr. Bernard.
You know him?
I haven't. I think I've met him maybe once personally, but I followed him on Facebook for a very long time.
Yes. He knows what's going on in Memphis, and he doesn't mind telling it. He says, tell the truth and shame the devil. And
That's
I'm for
the only way
that.
to do it. That's what we have in
That's perfect. I tell you what, you are doing a lot in this community.
Thank
You're
you.
not making a lot of noise about it, but I can see that you're doing a lot of things. I know for a fact that you worked on one campaign that was highly controversial. Yes, I'm going to go there, but it was for somebody that you and I both love, and this particular person has the memory of an elephant. I mean, he never forgets
Incredible.
anything in detail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Judge Joe Brown, he is a very dear friend of mine. Another one of those people who truly wants the best for everybody. Wants us to move forward in a way that is going to benefit us. And I don't think this happens enough. People think about if we continue going the way that we're going, where does this lead us? Oftentimes, people can see that clearly on the other side of a political aisle or a different side of a value system, but we can't critique it on the side where we are. I think there's some people who are uniquely talented to do that, and Judge Joe Brown is one of those people. I worked with him when he ran for district attorney. I consulted with him when he ran for mayor. And the reason that I continue to support him is because I know where his heart is. I know what his intellect is. And, we do a really good job in Memphis of just running on optics. And if you don't have our local media on your side, those optics can be really, really damaging, the narratives that are put out, the suggestions. So, for me, that doesn't sway me on whether I believe somebody is a good candidate or not, or it doesn't make me give up the fight. I'm not afraid of a fight. So I'm going to continue to stand behind candidates who might be controversial. If I feel like they have both the leadership skills and knowledge, and the morality and the ethics and the fortitude to actually implement some things and stand on what their values and morals are, that's going to be the candidate I get behind every time. And, if they're not popular, I'm going to do my best to make them so.
Well, Judge Joe Brown has no filters in terms of telling the truth. He
Yes.
tells it like it is.
Memphis has
And
a
if you
hard time with
don't
that.
like it, get yourself together and straighten it up.
And you know what's interesting? He's beloved around the country for that very same trait, and Memphis like tears him to shreds for the very same values. You know that having that trait, but the world respects him for the very same reason. So it's an interesting dynamic, just how different, you have to navigate in Memphis versus the rest of the country.
That's interesting. Now, um, what you're doing now, you're not into media in terms of reporting the news or being an anchor. You're actually involved in helping to grow things in the city. You want to
Absolutely.
talk about that?
Absolutely. I am an incubator. So I'm working right now with different nonprofits on both implementing programs in their various communities that are going to be beneficial and effective, and in bringing parties to the table to make those programs grow and become as impactful as they can. It's a space that is very, very dear to my heart. I think I've put my talents behind things, as you navigate through the industry. Oftentimes your talent is used for things that may not be as aligned with where your values are. Right now, my work is exactly that. And it's not the work that's going to make me a millionaire, but it is the work that makes me feel satisfied every day when I get up and every day when I go to sleep. And knowing that I'm at least pushing back, I'm not giving up the fight, and letting this world become a place where there's no hope. We're pushing back. We're putting hope back in communities with opportunities, with job training, with skills. We're even teaching people how to garden and grow their own food. And these are important core things. We talk about what creates the health in a community. Being able to have access to really good jobs, being able to have food security, all of these things matter to everybody. That's not a partisan issue. So being able to work in those areas, and listen, we have youth here that are really focused on their future. They want to learn trades. They are moving in those directions. They're seeking out mentors and opportunities for themselves to grow and develop, and being able to work in a space where we're meeting those kids. And there's some that I know we have to drag along, but the core of our program are kids that actually want that, and want the opportunity, and that's a blessing. Seeing these the passion, the energy the children have, the ones that seeing that these frameworks that we put a lot of the youth in, particularly youth from certain communities, framed them as that's not true. That's not true for all of them, and there are very many who are focused on the right thing. And I really think we need to start making them the main story. Focusing on the ones doing wrong is not benefiting any of us.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I have a show, and I want to say it is a successful show in
Absolutely.
terms of my friends and the loyalty and the message that we try to get across. First of all, we are not forced to forced to talk about anything that we don't believe in. Secondly, I believe that it is imperative that not only do people listen to the news, but they have an alternative means of getting their information so that they can themselves balance for themselves what is
Absolutely.
truth. What is truth? And so I'm hoping to get you a little bit more involved in spreading the information in the news about
Absolutely.
what is true.
I really love your approach. I am very much the same. I like to bring people information so they can decide for themselves. When I got into doing local news, I was told by a news director that people don't want to think for themselves. They want you to tell them what to think. And I was
I
very,
find that so frustrating.
very frustrating because there's so many people who are unserved as a result. We don't want to be told what to think. Hold on here, give us the facts and we'll decide for ourselves. So
Exactly.
that's where I'm about giving people the correct information so they can make a determination if this is if they support this and want to continue on this path, or if they want to choose something else, if this is good or bad, if this is ethical or not, and if it's aligned with their values. And I think there is a silent majority that actually does want that, despite how successful our major news outlets who do the, tell them what to think, use that method. I think that there's still a lot of people who want the data, and I'm betting a whole lot on that. I hope I'm right.
I think I heard Mika Brzezinski say, we got to tell them what to think. And if they're not thinking the way we want them to think, you know, we've got to do a better job, and we've got to make sure that they
Hmm.
think the way we want them to think. And from my perspective, I'm not putting this on you, but from my perspective, I think they cover stuff. They're part, from my perspective, of the fake news,
Hmm.
because they come up with bits and pieces of the truth, and then they elaborate it on it, they embellish it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't come out to be what we need in order for us to make good decisions. And
It's
especially our
almost,
young people who are so impressionable,
yeah,
those young people that you're interacting with, it is imperative that they get
accurate
better
information.
served. Some,
Absolutely. It reminds me of what people have done to the Bible. They take a little bit of truth and put a whole lot of extra with it and then give it back to you, and it doesn't quite work anymore. And we really need to just get back to telling the truth and being comfortable with that. It's gotten so bad that people are like being a truth teller and can get you ostracized. People are so uncomfortable with it because they've been, in these echo chambers and padded around false beliefs and misinformation that affirms what they already believe. And we've got to get outside of this and just back to being comfortable with truth. And I think that people, the older millennials, Generation X, and earlier, we're going to have to find some coalition with this, and show these outlets that that is of value to us, and that's something from the local level to the national level. In terms of media, I think we really, really need to let them know, no, we want you to get back to the data. Cool, we did the partisan political speak and all of that on the networks for a long time. It hasn't led us to a good place. It hasn't. It's led us to people being up to far extremes of either aisle and lacking context in a lot of situations. And that's context that I think in earlier journalism we did have. And it allowed people to make more sound decisions and have a more um, educated context for the policy and legislation that's happening right now. So I think we need to get back to that because there's a lot of important things happening that people don't quite understand because we've gotten into this thing of misinformation and pandering to an audience, and not even pandering. It's doing exactly what you were describing. What we were talking about. It's telling people what to think, but it's moving them to these polarized sides. And we, the people of the United States, are more in the middle than um, what we're being made to believe. And that's where I think we need to find our core.
and that's why I love you, because you speak your mind and you accept me for me, because I
Absolutely.
am not in the middle. I am not in the middle.
Well,
I have a truth that I believe and I stand on.
absolutely. I hear you with that. And I do accept you. And what I mean is, and I think that when I have to talk about we have to identify what the middle is. The middle to me is making sure that seniors are provided for, our elderly that have worked their whole lives and nothing happens to Social Security. That's a middle piece to me that everybody should agree on. The middle to me is making sure people have access to clean water in their cities and these core values. That's a middle to me. A middle to me is making sure we have quality jobs for Americans that want to work, and that we're protecting their ability to earn livable wages in the ways that we can. That's a middle ground to me. So I think that that's something where our other values are conservative or liberal. Those are some of the core things that we can usually agree on.
Well, do you think Memphis will return to be the most successful city in the state of Tennessee, number one again?
Do I think it will happen? I'm hopeful that it will happen. Um, I'm not seeing anything yet to make me think that that's the case just yet, but we have the ingredients. Um, what I would like to see is as a conservative intellectual rise to the surface, who is aware of what it takes to grow a city and to raise the entire city from the lowest to the highest. I want to see that person, somebody with the moral and ethical fortitude that's needed to do it, and with conservative views. I think we have that somewhere in Memphis, and I'm hoping to see that person emerge. And I'd even like to see somebody like that emerge on the Democrat side as well. I want people to have true options for who they're choosing for leadership, and it not just be about what party they've been with, who is the best candidate. And I want us to get back to that. Like I said, I want us to come out of the corners and just come together as a people. And I'm coming from that as a journalist, not as a politico. I know you're much more on the political end than I am, but I want us to get back to being human and just loving on each other as a people, and back to the Memphis where it used to be. You remember when we were younger, if somebody was grilling or barbecuing, you were invited. You know, you just pull up. I want to see Memphis be that place again where you could count on somebody stopping to help you. And all of that has not faded. I mean, there's still like if you're stranded on the side of the road and you're a woman, somebody's stopping to help, or even if you're not a woman, like, or where it's safe to do that, where we can look out for each other as human beings again. I want to get back to that place, a Memphis where it was safe to be at the park or to go and gas up your car at night, and
Oh, yes.
you know Memphis, where it was beautiful and people knew our city for being beautiful, and there wasn't trash everywhere and the streets were nice, like Memphis.
That sounds really good. And I think we will get back to that. I think we will. I think that as I interact with people and meet people on a daily basis, there are more people out there like you who want that. And if you want it bad enough, it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Let me tell my audience how I met you. I I'm a member of the Whitehaven Republican Club. Actually, I'm the secretary for the Whitehaven Republican Club. And Judge Joe Brown was our keynote speaker that night. And he introduced Christian, and she came up and she spoke to me. And I tell you what, I've been impressed with her ever since. And I believe she's going to do even more to help Judge Joe Brown in this community,
Absolutely.
because I think he is the key to a lot of truth in this community.
He has so much knowledge, and people in these ego battles and personality battles are blocking a lot of that knowledge from being utilized. He understands how a lot came to be, and like you said, he remembers down to the date, the time, all of the details. So when we let somebody with that level of knowledge, if you when you're I have a city like Memphis that so desperately needs it, and you push him to the sidelines, I can't understand the logic in that at all. And I know he is somebody who tells it how he feels it is. It may not be easy to digest the way that he gives it, but at the core, what is the knowledge being given, and is it useful? Is it beneficial? And that's where we need to be. How we need to evaluate not just Judge Joe Brown as a resource and as a leader, but all of our candidates and all of our leaders and people that we're allowing to shift and move and shape the direction of Memphis.
That is extremely important. And I'm looking forward to this next election in 2026. And
Are we? It's gonna be a big one.
it's got to be better than what we have now. I'm so sick of the crime.
I'm sick of
I'm
it.
so sick of not holding people accountable. And
Yeah,
as Judge often say, there's a lot of corruption going on, and it needs
a
to be
whole lot.
exposed.
I'm hoping
Um,
that the FBI being here is going to maybe check into that as well, since that's been an issue for many years, and it's been something that different elected officials have tried to bring to the public's attention, and they've gotten FBI attention about some of it before. But hopefully, they really dig into the finances and the books here in Memphis and Shelby County, and really take a look at what's been happening. Yeah, it might be time to clean house.
it is definitely way behind time to clean house. And I think I remember reading one of our state senators stated that more and more police are coming to Memphis. that's a beginning.
Mhm.
And it's not so much that we want to live in a police state. We want to be free.
Mhm.
And what happens is, and one of the former district attorneys used to say, we have out of a population of almost 1 million people in Shelby County, we have about 500 that are repeat offenders, and they terrorize the city. And they have no qualms about shooting anybody anywhere if they so desire. We have got to allow the police to do what they do best. We have got to allow the police to do their jobs. And if they infringe upon someone's right, I don't want that, but we have courts that should address that. We have people who do not respect the law. So, you know where I'm coming from. I am coming from this side of law enforcement
Mhm.
because we have gone so far right, I mean, to the left, disrespecting our police officers. And this is where we are now. And what will ultimately happen, approximately those 500 repeat offenders will terrorize this community, that people who can add good, positive livelihood and lifestyles and way of living to this community, they're moving out.
Mhm.
We in Shelby County have lost, our population decline has been really severe, and it's because of the criminal element. And those young people that you referred to, it's not fair that they are labeled under one umbrella only because we have not addressed the few, the minority. That's less than 1% of the population. Yet, what they are doing, what they're espousing, the crime that they're committing, it is terror, and people are afraid. And not only are they afraid, some of them are victims of
Mhm.
the crime that has been committed. And Memphis could be number one again once we address the crime,
I
because
absolutely.
businesses will come back, schools will get more young people that will come here and get educated. And I'm preaching to the choir. I think I told you before, my daddy was a Baptist minister, so I need to shut up and let my guests talk.
No, no, you're I'm loving what you're saying. Continue.
Okay, well, you want to expound more?
Well, what I'd like to see, and more officers is fine, but I'd really like to see that there is some actual plan to get to find the actual the sources of this crime, of the terrorism, really the local terrorism. Um, and actually zoom in on that, because I've seen research on this, and more officers, although that's something to celebrate, doesn't equate to less crime, but a plan does, a plan to attack this, and that's what I would like to see, where the individuals are targeted, not just because this is the thing. A lot of times, these people will go and live in poorer communities, and they terrorize the people right there in the community. And what I don't want to have is that those people are further terrorized by officers, and so I'm concerned about, again, I want to see more. I want to see the crime stop. I want to see it stopped. I want to see them also target the individuals that are actually creating it. And I want to eliminate as much as possible, have a really direct plan for how they're going to do this. So, as much as possible, people who happen to live in proximity with these people are not harmed in the process. That's my concern. I don't care about a criminal being harmed, but the people who have to live in proximity to them, I am concerned about that.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to sit here and predict Memphis is going to return to number one, but first we've got to take out the garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once
The garbage,
once we take out the garbage,
the criminals on the street and in the offices downtown.
the officers downtown.
And in the offices downtown, our elected officials that are behaving criminally. All of the traffic taken out.
I'm glad to know that you're not afraid to mince your words. I want to and I'll let you go. I want to bring out this point because I think it's imperative what you said in terms of what you guys are doing to help the young people in the community to teach them how to grow foods. Because in the areas where I have seen the farm that you're alluding to, it is becoming an area where grocery stores are moving out of. And
Absolutely.
so people, um, either they open up a grocery store themselves or they learn how to grow food
Mhm.
themselves, like our forefathers did. My great grandfather was a sharecropper. His mother was a slave. So he learned how to grow foods and
Mhm.
do things like that. And he survived. And he became an entrepreneur as a
Absolutely.
result of that experience. Um, I think we can get more young people interested in growing their own crops, growing their own foods,
Yes.
selling it to people in the community. And that in turn will help people like um, the Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy
Mhm.
Jr., help him to be able to further implement his plans of allowing people to eat healthily and
Absolutely.
to not eat foods that will destroy the body because it's convenient. So tell us a little bit more about the growth of the food
What
and the
we're
young people's involvement, and approximately how many are there that are doing that?
Right now, we're doing these workshops. Like last month, we had two, and the month prior is when we kicked it out. So we've had three of these workshops so far. We've taught the elements of how to layer your soil, what crops grow well together, um, to now how to build raised garden beds, and we bring in experts. One is horticulturalist Maricela Liu, a Gator. She was she somebody second generation horticulturalist. She has worked for the Memphis Botanic Gardens, designing those beautiful scapes that you see there, including at the front office. But she comes in and she teaches along with her husband, Brandon Gator. They lead a lot of these workshops. We've also had people come in from the Farm Service Agency teaching people how to register their gardens as farms so that they can benefit
Good.
getting those subsidies, getting what they need, getting the and sustaining, creating an economy where we can sustain ourselves. It doesn't matter when you have food being grown all around you. The grocery store and where they set those prices, it rocks your boat a little less, you know. So that's what we want to make sure people have is security. And these are people from all walks of life, both sides of the political aisle. And again, it's one of those things that everybody can agree on. They want to be able to have food and have some stability. Hopefully down the line we'll bring in some people to show you how to can what you grow or how to
Whoa!
grow.
I
Um,
remember my grandparents canning.
these people are coming back to these common sense ideas. You know, this rockiness that we've had in the economy, I think has had the benefit of people returning to basics. We've lost a lot of those skills, and these are things before it's what we desperately need, that we need to be actually learning these skills again, being comfortable with them and building infrastructure around it. We're in Whitehaven. The organization I work with is Memphis Dawa Association in that area, and they are right now building that capacity for people to have their farms, have their gardens producing and bartering with each other. A farmers market. We have a night market coming up on one of our campuses. That's going to be a lot of fun for people to come out to and enjoy food and cooked products, even from people from different cultures. It will be a good time. So we're doing these things and trying to build programming around things that matter to the community. Food security definitely is one of those. You know, the Whitehaven area and to South Memphis areas, they a lot of them have become almost food. Some of them are some parts, some zip codes are food deserts, and there's some that are almost there. And what that means is wherever the price is set at the store really has a huge impact on a household. We want to lessen that impact, and we want to empower people. We want people to depend on themselves
Thank
more
you.
than looking outward. And this is the core of that. Where your food comes from is one of the most important things that you're going to have to consider. And having some control over what's put in your food and what you eat is highly important. And I think a lot of the illness that we see around us will be eliminated when we just get back to basics like that, growing the food.
That's perfect. So, do you want to tell people the name of the organization you're involved in? And I did speak with one of the partners, I think, and mentioned that the federal government was having a negative impact on what they were doing. Are you having problems receiving the subsidies that you need in order to grow this program?
We are right now. We're just having some hiccups with some of the changes that happened in the federal government. It's caused some hiccups with funding for some of the programs, but we're continuing on. I mean, we have fewer resources to do it, but we're just plugging straight on ahead, and we're still bringing what we can bring to the public with what resources we have. Like I said, this isn't work that's going to get you rich, but it's work that will make our community a lot richer, and that's what I care about: leaving something behind, leaving something better than how I found it. And the
That
organization is Memphis Dawa Association in Whitehaven. It's led by a brilliant young man. Well, he's not that young anymore, but his name is Hassan Bey. And I'm talking about somebody who has a heart of gold and whose vision I absolutely trust for growing this product, growing this effort in Whitehaven, teaching people how to grow food. He's doing that job training program that Memphis Dawa Association has implemented, teaches HVAC, plumbing, and trains people as electricians. They go on from our pre-apprenticeship into an
wow.
apprenticeship. They end as journeymen after the program, and it really sets them up to be able to have a career track where they can count on themselves. Again, self-sufficiency. That's what we're trying to set up in the community, and that's the only way forward that we all see. So that's something that I'm just extremely proud of. I love it. I love Whitehaven. It's where I grew up, and I just feel like it's one of those communities that just fights back against all odds. You'll have a news cycle for 3 years that just bashes Whitehaven, and they'll just be fighting back. And you go there, they have all these great things happening, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a place that has my heart. So I really, really, really love that community, and I love doing work there with Memphis Dollar Association.
It's all right you mentioned Whitehaven, and then I'm going to let you go. Um, I was supporting a candidate who was running for a position, and we went and knocked on doors in Whitehaven. And there are some areas in Whitehaven that look like Germantown.
Absolutely. There are people who have really, it has a lot of homeowners. And another beautiful thing that's happening there is people are graduating from college, getting careers, and moving back to Whitehaven. So it has some sauce. So it's some great things happening there. And these people are folks who have grown up in traditional households, so they know what's needed to care for a home and to keep a community nice. And so it's a lot of great things happening there. Like what we're doing is one portion of it, but there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things. So I'm really proud of Whitehaven. Councilwoman Pearl Walker is helping us get some things done as well. And, the outreach, it's funny when we talk to people about the work that we're doing and they come and see, they're like, how can I help? And it's a really beautiful thing. Even people coming in volunteering, that just got wind, or they come to a workshop and they want to do more. It's another place where we're building community, and it just feels so good. It feels nostalgic to me, and it's a beautiful thing. I love the organization Memphis Dawa Association in Whitehaven.
I'm looking forward to an invitation to come down there and to
Absolutely.
share some of the positive things that are happening, and to meet some of those great people who are actually learning, getting back to basics.
Getting back to basics. That's all we're talking about. We have to, as a people, get back to the core.
And tell us again the name of the organization you're involved with.
Memphis Dawa Association.
Spell
It's
it.
Memphis Dawah Association,
Okay.
and it does. It's an organization that works across faith. I'm sorry, it was a wasp. That works across the lines. It works with Christian organizations. This is a Muslim organization, but it works with Christian organizations to get these things done in the community. It works with people in the community. Period. Some of our trainers, all of our trainers for our workshops are people who are volunteering because this is important work. So everybody is here because it matters to them. And there are just certain organizations that know how to get in there and get it done. And this is one of them, a little organization that could.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This interview has been truly delightful, and I did come into it not knowing, okay, what am I going to ask? And it has lasted a good amount of time. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you, Christian, and I look forward to seeing you again. God bless you, and I'm praying for what you guys are doing in Whitehaven.
Absolutely. Love you, Ms. Bergman. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Mwah.
God bless you. Bye-bye.